So you're a soldier in ancient India, facing an enemy army. You've trained for years. You have your sword, your shield, your courage, and then you see it. Across the battlefield, emerging through the dust, elephants, not just one or two, dozens, maybe hundreds, each one weighing 12,000 pounds, standing 10 feet tall, covered in armor, with tusks sharpened into spears and a tower of archers on its back, and they're charging directly at you. What do? If you're smart, you run. Because war elephants weren't just weapons, they were psychological warfare on 4 legs. Let's begin. War elephants were used across ancient civilizations: India, Persia, Carthage, the Hellenistic empires of Alexander's successors, and even briefly in Rome. But the concept originated in India around 1100 BCE, where elephants were abundant, intelligent, and powerful. Indian rulers realized that elephants had several massive advantages in warfare. First, size and strength. An adult war elephant could weigh up to 6 tons. It could trample infantry, smash through defensive lines, and physically push aside enemy formations. Horses were terrified of elephants. They'd bolt, throw their riders, and refuse to approach. So cavalry, one of the most effective ancient military units, became useless against elephant corps. Second, height. Elephants gave commanders a mobile observation platform. A general riding atop an elephant could see the entire battlefield, issue orders, and coordinate troops in real time. Archers and javelin throwers stationed on elephants had elevated firing positions, giving them range and accuracy advantages. It was like having a moving watchtower that also happened to be a battering ram. Third, and most importantly, terror. Most armies had never seen elephants before encountering them in battle. Imagine being a Greek hoplite in 326 BCE, facing Alexander the Great's invasion of India, and suddenly confronting war elephants for the first time. You'd heard stories, rumors of giant beasts that crushed men underfoot, but now they're real, trumpeting, charging, unstoppable. The psychological effect was devastating. Soldiers broke formation, they fled, they surrendered before the elephants even reached them. That fear was the elephant's greatest weapon. The ancient military manual, Arthashastra, written in India around 300 BCE, describes elephants as the ultimate weapon and dedicates entire chapters to their training, deployment, and care. Indian kings maintained vast elephant stables, breeding and training them specifically for war. Elephants weren't just animals, they were military assets, status symbols, and instruments of terror. Training a war elephant was a years-long process. You couldn't just throw armor on a wild elephant and expect it to charge into battle. Elephants are intelligent, emotional, and easily spooked. Training required patience, skill, and often brutal methods. The process began with capturing young elephants, usually calves aged 5 to 10 years. Wild adult elephants were too dangerous and difficult to train. Calves were separated from their herds, a traumatic process that often involved killing protective mothers. Once captured, the elephant underwent a breaking process called krail in India. The elephant was confined in a small enclosure, starved, and subjected to physical punishment until it stopped resisting human commands. Handlers used ankuses, sharp hooks used to control elephants by jabbing sensitive areas like behind the ears or on the trunk. It was cruel, but ancient trainers believed fear and pain were necessary to establish dominance. Modern animal behaviorists recognize this as abusive conditioning, but in ancient warfare, elephants were tools, not companions. After breaking, the elephant was trained for combat. This included desensitization to loud noises, drums, horns, shouting, since battles were chaotic and terrifying even for elephants. Trainers would light fires, clash weapons, and create simulated battle conditions while rewarding the elephant for remaining calm. They also trained elephants to charge on command, to stomp and swing their tusks, and to tolerate armor and carrying structures housed as wooden platforms mounted on the elephant's back. Elephants were also taught to recognize enemies. Some accounts describe trainers using dummies dressed in enemy colors and having the elephant attack them. Whether this actually worked is debatable. Elephants don't distinguish friend from foe based on clothing. But the idea was to condition aggressive behavior to ward anything in front of them during a charge. The best war elephants were musk males, adult males, in a heightened state of aggression due to hormonal surges. Musk elephants are extremely dangerous, violent, and fearless. They were kept chained and underfed before battle to maximize aggression. Then, right before the charge, they'd be released. The result? A living, enraged battering ram. But musk elephants were also unpredictable. They'd sometimes turn on their own handlers or rampage through friendly troops. This made them powerful but risky. Female elephants were also used, but were considered less aggressive. However, they were steadier, more obedient, and less likely to panic. Many generals preferred female elephants because they were more reliable, even if they lacked the raw fury of musk males. Training didn't stop at the elephant. The mahout, also known as elephant driver, was equally important. Mahouts trained for years to understand elephant behavior, psychology, and control. They sat on the elephant's neck, directing it with voice commands, leg pressure, and the anchors. A skilled mahout could make an elephant stop, mid-charge, pivot, or retreat. But if the mahout was killed, which happened constantly in battle, the elephant became uncontrollable. So how were elephants actually used in battle? Several ways. The most common was as shock cavalry, placed at the front of the army. They'd charge into enemy lines to break formations. The sight and sound of charging elephants caused panic. Infantry would scatter. Horses would flee. The elephant corps would smash through the front lines, creating gaps for following infantry and cavalry to exploit. Elephants were also used as mobile archer platforms. A howdah could carry 2 to 4 archers or javelin throwers, giving them height and mobility. Ancient accounts describe archers raining arrows from elephant back, while the elephant itself trampled infantry below. This made elephants devastating against disorganized or lightly armored troops. Another tactic, psychological warfare. Commanders would parade elephants before battle, showing them off to intimidate the enemy. Some elephants were painted, decorated with bright colors, fitted with bells and banners. The goal was spectacle, make the enemy see what they'd face, and hopefully convince them to surrender without fighting. In several recorded cases, this worked. Entire armies reportedly fled at the sight of elephant corps before battle even began. But elephants weren't invincible. Smart generals developed countermeasures. Alexander the Great faced war elephants at the Battle of the Hydaspes, 326 BCE, against Indian King Porus. Porus deployed around 200 elephants. Alexander's cavalry refused to engage, so Alexander adapted. He used archers to target the mahouts, killing the drivers and leaving elephants leaderless. He also deployed sarissas, also known as long spears, to jab at the elephants' trunks and legs, causing pain and panic. The elephants, wounded and without direction, turned and stampeded through Porus's own troops. Alexander won, partly because he neutralized the elephants. Hannibal of Carthage famously used war elephants during the Second Punic War to 18 to 201 BCE, including his legendary crossing of the Alps with 37 elephants. Most died during the journey. Cold, starvation, and treacherous terrain killed them, but the survivors were deployed at battles like Trebia, 218 BCE, where they terrified Roman troops. However, by the Battle of Zama, 202 BCE, the Romans had learned Scipio. Africanus ordered his troops to open gaps in their formation, allowing the charging elephants to pass through harmlessly. The elephants ran into empty space, and Roman skirmishers attacked their flanks. Hannibal's elephants became useless. The Romans themselves experimented with war elephants after capturing them from Carthage and Hellenistic kingdoms, but they never fully adopted them. Elephants were expensive, required specialized care, and were unreliable. The Romans preferred disciplined infantry and engineering. They used elephants occasionally for spectacle, parading them in triumphs or using them in gladiatorial games, but not seriously in warfare. In India, war elephants remained central to military strategy for centuries. The Maurya Empire, 322 to 185 BCE, maintained elephant corps numbering in the thousands. The Emperor Chandragupta Maurya reportedly commanded 9,000 war elephants. His grandson Ashoka used elephants extensively in his conquests before renouncing violence and converting to Buddhism. Even into the medieval period, Indian kingdoms deployed elephants. The Battle of Panipat from 1526 saw the Mughal Emperor Babur face an army with over 1,000 war elephants. Babur used gunpowder weapons, cannons, and matchlock guns to panic and kill the elephants, demonstrating that technology had finally surpassed the ancient weapon. War elephants had a critical flaw. They panicked. When wounded, frightened, or leaderless, Elephants would stampede, and they didn't care whose army they trampled. This happened repeatedly throughout history, with catastrophic results. At the Battle of Raphia, 217 BCE, Ptolemaic Egypt and the Seleucid Empire clashed, both using elephant cores. The Seleucids had larger Indian elephants. The Ptolemies had smaller African forest elephants. When the two groups met, the African elephants panicked and fled, trampling Ptolemaic infantry. The Ptolemies still won the battle, but their own elephants killed hundreds of their troops. At Magnesia in 190 BCE, the Seleucid king, Antiochus III, deployed elephants against Rome. Roman troops used fire, arrows, and javelins to wound the elephants, which panicked and stampeded back through Seleucid lines, crushing their own soldiers. The Romans exploited the chaos and won decisively. And at Thapsus in 46 BCE, Julius Caesar faced an army using elephants. Roman soldiers threw javelins at the elephants' eyes and trunks. The elephants panicked, turned, and rampaged through their own troops. Caesar's legions massacred the disorganized enemy. After this, Romans largely abandoned elephants as impractical. The unpredictability of elephants made them high-risk weapons. They could win battles or lose them catastrophically. Generals had to weigh whether the psychological impact was worth the danger. So there you have it. War elephants were the ancient world's ultimate terror weapon. Living tanks that could crush formations, carry archers, and break enemy morale with sheer presence. They dominated battlefields for over 1,000 years, from India to North Africa to the Mediterranean. But they were also expensive, unpredictable, and vulnerable to countermeasures. As military technology advanced, disciplined infantry tactics, long spears, archery, and eventually gunpowder, elephants became obsolete. Still, their legacy endures. They represent the ancient world's willingness to weaponize anything, even nature's giants, in pursuit of victory. And for soldiers who faced them, war elephants weren't just animals, they were nightmares made flesh, unstoppable until they weren't. The original shock and awe